Crypto is a brilliant scam, and I can prove it, but not in the way you think. Not with the usual arguments people throw around like, it's a bubble, it's worthless, or it's the future. No, the real truth is darker, more strategic, and far more calculated than the loud voices on either side of the war want to admit. And if you give me the next few minutes of your mind, I'll take you through a reality that most people never see. The psychology, the engineering, the narrative manipulation, and the financial machinery behind crypto that turns intelligent people into believers, skeptics into gamblers, and ordinary citizens into liquidity for forces they will never meet. You're about to understand why crypto is not just a scam, it's a brilliant one. It's engineered like a religion, marketed like a revolution, and structured like a casino where every table looks different, but all the odds quietly point in the same direction. Yet the twist is that it's not entirely a scam because the people who built it believe parts of it themselves. And that's exactly why the trap is so effective, because nothing sells better than a lie wrapped in a truth. The moment crypto entered mainstream consciousness, it didn't spread like a financial product. It spread like mythology. It was never sold to the world through charts, graphs, or institutional papers. It was sold as a story of freedom, a story of rebellion, a story of you versus the system, a story where the little guy could win, a story where you could mint your own destiny, your own wealth, your own future. And humans don't buy assets, they buy stories. That's the first proof that crypto's brilliance doesn't come from technology, but from psychology. People didn't fall in love with blockchains. They fell in love with becoming early. Becoming rich. Becoming chosen. And this is where it gets interesting. Every scam needs a hook, but a brilliant scam makes you think you discovered the hook yourself. It lets you feel smart for stepping into the trap. Crypto didn't promise 5% annual returns. Crypto promised destiny. It promised the chance to be right when the world was wrong. That's not a financial pitch. It's a messianic one. And millions bought it because deep down, every human has a craving to belong to something powerful, yet feel individually superior inside it. That's why Bitcoin wasn't marketed as a stock, but as sound money. That's why Solana isn't marketed as a platform, but as the future of everything. That's why meme coins aren't marketed as jokes, but as movements. It's why influencers tell you, we're early every time the market dips. All of it is narrative engineering. And this is where the scam becomes genius. They don't just sell you an asset, they sell you an identity. The brilliance of the crypto scam isn't that it lies to people. It's that it gives them truths they find emotionally irresistible. Crypto really is decentralized, at least on paper. It really does offer financial independence, at least theoretically. It really can change the future, at least in imagination. And that sliver of truth is what makes it untouchable in debates. You can't debunk a dream. You can only expose the parts of the dream that were never real. And that's exactly where the real scam hides. Not in the technology, but in the incentive structure behind it. The reason crypto feels like a revolution is because the people who got in early need latecomers to believe it's a revolution. Every system built on tokenomics is fundamentally built on hope flowing upward. Early investors need fresh liquidity. New buyers need new buyers behind them. Exchanges need volume. Influencers need excitement. Developers need hype. And whales need emotions, not logic. It's not that crypto doesn't work. It's that the game only works if someone keeps paying for someone else's exit. Every new believer becomes someone else's profit. Every pump is someone's exit liquidity. Now think about this. If crypto were truly what the loudest voices claim it is, freedom, wealth, the future, why would the people already holding billions need you to join? If a technology is revolutionary, it spreads because it works, not because it's marketed like a political campaign. But crypto had to be marketed aggressively, relentlessly, globally. It had to be politicized. It had to be turned into a cultural identity. And here's why. Unlike real technology, crypto can't create value on its own. It redistributes it. Money moves sideways, not upward. It shifts from the unaware to the aware, from the emotional to the calculating, from the believers to the architects. And this is why the scam is brilliant. It doesn't sell a product. It sells a world where you believe you're escaping the system while you're actually entering a smaller, faster, more volatile version of it. You're not trading coins. You're trading belief systems. You're trading illusions. You're trading the psychological warfare between fear and euphoria. And the entire ecosystem is built on this. The exchanges profit from every trade. The influencers profit from every view. The founders profit from every token they minted for themselves. The early whales profit from the new retail believers, and the retail believers profit from the ones who join after them, until someone is left holding the bag. This is the mathematical structure of the system. And here's what makes it worse. The scam works because it includes enough winners to validate itself. If nobody got rich, crypto would have died in 2010. But people did get rich. And that's all you need to keep millions convinced that they could be next. That's the brilliance of lotteries, casinos, MLMs, meme stocks, and crypto. The success of the few becomes the religion of the many. Crypto takes the core design of gambling, but hides it inside the language of innovation. It's not called betting. It's called staking. It's not called trading. It's called investing. It's not called a casino. It's called a market. And when the entire world begins playing the same game, the lines between speculation and belief dissolve. The average person buying a coin thinks they're investing because they are mentally comparing it to companies like Apple or Tesla. But crypto doesn't have earnings, products, factories, cash flows, or intrinsic value. It has narratives. The reason values swing 60% in a week is not because technology changed. It's because emotions did. And when you realize this, something else becomes obvious. The smartest minds in the crypto world don't trade coins. They trade attention. They trade narratives. They trade volatility. That's why hedge funds loved crypto. They don't need fundamentals. They just need movement. Another layer of brilliance behind the scam is how crypto weaponizes human loneliness and the desire for belonging. When people talk about their favorite coin, they don't speak like investors. They speak like fans. They attack anyone who disagrees. They mock critics as if they're protecting a sports team. People join crypto groups for financial opportunities, but stay because of community. This emotional attachment is the perfect fuel for a speculative engine. If you've ever wondered why people defend their coin even when it's collapsing, here's why. When people invest in crypto, they aren't just investing money, they're investing identity. They're investing hope. They're investing the version of their future self they desperately want to become. Crypto created tribes, and tribes don't think, they believe. Even more brilliant is how the scam protects itself through complexity. The more complicated something sounds, the harder it is for people to admit they don't understand it. Crypto vocabulary is intentionally bloated. Hash rate, DeFi, staking, yield farming, L1s, L2s, gas fees, slippage, liquidity pools, wrapped tokens, bridges, halving cycles, tokenomics. The language is a barrier of intimidation. People feel embarrassed to question what sounds sophisticated. And that's the mark of a brilliant scam. If the average person can't explain how something works, but still believes it will make them rich, someone else is controlling the narrative. But this isn't even the full picture. The scam goes deeper because crypto doesn't just manipulate individuals, it manipulates entire economies. The volatility sucks governments into regulating it, legitimizing it. Banks begin to integrate it because customers demand access. Companies hold it because it pumps their stock. Even critics indirectly make it stronger by talking about it. Crypto is designed to be anti-fragile. It feeds on attention. Positive attention pumps it. Negative attention pumps it too, because drama creates new emotional buying opportunities. A traditional scam collapses when exposed. A brilliant scam grows. And then there's the darkest part of all. The technology itself is real, but the dream built on top of it is engineered. Blockchain has legitimate uses. But the majority of crypto's value doesn't come from utility. It comes from stories. Bitcoin is not the future of money because people use it to buy things. It's the future of money because people believe it is. Ethereum is not valuable because the world runs on smart contracts. It's valuable because people think it will someday. Meme coins aren't valuable because they solve problems. They're valuable because they solve boredom. This is the psychological economy the crypto world runs on. Attention, belief, identity, narrative momentum, and our universal fear of missing out. When you combine FOMO with hope, you get a self-sustaining machine. But the system is not immortal. Every brilliant scam has a mathematical limit. Liquidity dries up. Hype fades. Regulation grows teeth. The dream becomes too expensive to maintain. And yet, every time crypto collapses, it resurrects like mythology. Bitcoin has died in headlines more than any financial product in history, and every time it rises again, people call it proof. But it's not proof of its legitimacy. It's proof of its psychological grip. Once a person believes something will save them financially, they hold on to it with religious devotion. And that's what makes crypto dangerous and brilliant at the same time, because it manipulates the human need for meaning, independence, and hope. Crypto is a brilliant scam because it's built on truths people desperately want to believe. Wrapped in complexity, people are afraid to question, packaged with narratives that feel rebellious, and supported by a system of incentives that reward early believers while quietly draining late adopters. It's not the technology that makes it a scam. It's the ecosystem built around it. And the moment you see the architecture clearly, the incentives, the narratives, the psychology, you realize that most people aren't investing in crypto. They're investing in a story someone else needs them to believe. The brilliance of the crypto scam reveals itself fully when you examine what happens during the euphoric phases. The bull markets, when every coin looks like a miracle, and every chart looks like a staircase to heaven. During these periods, nobody questions anything. Nobody asks whether these decentralized projects are actually controlled by a small handful of insiders. Nobody asks where the liquidity comes from. Nobody asks why 90% of the tokens minted in the last cycle no longer exist. Because when numbers go up, skepticism goes down. And this is where the psychological trap tightens. People don't become irrational because crypto exists. Crypto exists because people are irrational. The founders, exchanges, whales, and influencers don't need to manipulate you. They just need to give you the stage and let your own greed play its part. That's the elegance of the scam. It leverages human nature instead of fighting it. When everything is pumping, everyone feels like a genius. Every group chat turns into an investment boardroom. Every meme coin becomes a movement. Every dip becomes a buying opportunity, and every small win becomes proof of your brilliance. The market rewards confidence, arrogance, and recklessness during these stages. It trains people into believing that volatility is opportunity. It makes people think that they have discovered a secret formula that Wall Street never understood. But the market is not rewarding their intelligence. It's rewarding liquidity. It needs buyers. It needs believers. It needs participants. The system trains people psychologically to become addicted to upside, to feel dopamine spikes with every green candle, to forget risk entirely. And by the time the masses believe that this time is different, the cycle is already preparing to snap in the opposite direction. This is where the scam reveals its teeth, because the same mechanism that pumps the market also guarantees its collapse. The moment the ecosystem stops attracting new money, the moment liquidity begins to thin, the incentives flip upside down. The same influencers who were preaching HODL forever begin secretly selling. The same founders who claimed they were building for the long term begin offloading their unlocked tokens. The same whales who were tweeting laser eyes emojis start distributing their bags into the euphoria they helped create. And millions of retail traders become exit liquidity without even realizing it. They're still posting screenshots of their portfolio while the people above them are quietly walking out the back door. And then it happens. The cascade, the drop, the unforgiving, accelerating, brutal collapse that crypto does better than any asset in history. The charts go from parabolic to vertical in the opposite direction. Liquidity evaporates. Exchanges begin freezing withdrawals. Stablecoins lose their peg. Token projects disappear overnight. And the same people who were screaming to the moon start saying, the system is rigged. But the system isn't rigged. It's engineered. It works exactly as designed. It's not that crypto betrayed them. It's that crypto only works as long as someone else believes more than they do. The moment belief wavers, the entire house of cards loses its foundation. But here is the genius. After every collapse, after every brutal liquidation, after every rug pull, scam, or meltdown, the believers return. They don't question the structure. They don't question the design. They don't question the incentives. They chalk it up to bad actors, temporary setbacks, bear market fear, or weak hands. Crypto doesn't lose followers after a collapse. It purifies them. It filters out the weak and hardens the devout. This is how cults survive. This is how religions endure. This is how ideologies grow. The collapse isn't seen as proof the system is flawed, but proof that the system is being tested. The fact that people lost everything is interpreted as a cleansing, a reset, a chance to accumulate even more at lower prices. A traditional scam dies when exposed. A brilliant scam becomes stronger. And the brilliance doesn't end there. Crypto tricks people with time perception. In a normal investment, decades matter. In crypto, minutes matter. This compression of time creates a psychological furnace. People become addicted to watching charts because the chart is no longer a financial tool. It becomes a mood generator. Your emotions rise and fall with every tick. A 1% move feels like a life decision. A 5% pump feels like destiny. A 20% crash feels like betrayal, even though nothing about the underlying project changed at all. Crypto teaches you to react emotionally to things that aren't real. It anchors your identity to fluctuations that have no meaning. And this is the biggest reason why people lose themselves in the ecosystem. The genius of the scam is how it makes people abandon the real world for the digital one. Maho, their self-worth becomes tied to their portfolio value. Their friendships form around coins. Their arguments revolve around predictions. Their sleep cycles are dictated by volatility. Their belief in the future becomes entangled with the performance of a token created by people they'll never meet. The system doesn't require lock-in mechanisms. The psychology itself becomes the prison. But the most brilliant layer is this. Crypto gets governments and institutions to legitimize it without ever proving real utility. Every time a country bans crypto, the believers interpret it as validation that crypto threatens power. Every time a country adopts it, believers interpret it as validation that crypto is the future. Both actions create bullish narratives. Both opposites fuel belief. And this means crypto can't lose. Any event becomes evidence for its future success. When traditional markets dip, people say stocks are crashing. When crypto crashes, people say it's on sale. When traditional companies fail, people say the business model didn't work. When crypto projects fail, people say the founders were scammers, not the system. Nothing can break the narrative because the narrative has built-in explanations for everything. And this is where the scam becomes untouchable. Not because the technology is invincible, but because the psychology is. The scam works because it isn't externally enforced. It's internally maintained by the participants. You don't need lies when the truth is emotionally addictive. People want wealth fast. People want financial freedom. People want to beat the system. People want to escape the 9-to-5. Crypto didn't create these desires. They weaponized them. But here's where the final twist lies. The scam is brilliant because it's not purely malicious. It's a system built on dreams, not deception. It exploits human nature, but it also expresses human hope. It gives people a sense of agency, even if that agency is illusory. It gives people a sense of control, even if the control is fragile. It gives people access to a world where they can imagine becoming someone entirely new. A system like that doesn't disappear, it evolves. Every cycle brings new narratives. DeFi, NFTs, Web3, Metaverse, Play to Earn, RWA tokens. Each cycle repackages the same speculative engine into a new wrapper. Each narrative says the last cycle was immature, but this one is the real revolution. Each new concept siphons liquidity from old believers and attracts new ones. And the machine continues. It never ends. It only transforms. But buried inside this transformation is the biggest truth that most people never understand. Crypto doesn't need to be a scam to function like one. Because even if the intentions were pure, the incentives turn every participant into a potential manipulator. Retail traders become shillers. Influencers become paid marketers. Developers become token printers. Investors become hype machines. Exchanges become casinos. Everyone has something to gain if someone else believes more than they do. Everyone's incentives are aligned with exaggeration, with optimism, with misleading narratives, with emotional manipulation. You don't need bad people for a brilliant scam. You only need a system where the incentives push everyone in the same direction. This is why rug pulls happen constantly. This is why tokens with no utility reach billion-dollar valuations. This is why stablecoins collapse. This is why exchanges gamble with user funds. This is why every bull market ends in tears. Because the system rewards those behaviors. It doesn't matter how many rules you add, how much regulation exists, or how many people warn against greed. If the incentives don't change, the outcomes won't change. But even after seeing all this, the funniest part is that crypto will never die, not because it's real, but because the dream tied to it is too powerful. People would rather lose money in hope than save money in boredom. People would rather gamble on becoming wealthy than slowly grow into it. People would rather attach their identity to a revolution than admit they are just speculating, and crypto provides the perfect stage for all of this. The real brilliance of the scam is that it hides inside a legitimate technology. Blockchain is real. Decentralization is meaningful. Cryptography is powerful. These truths act as shields for everything built on top. Critics end up attacking the scams while defenders hide behind the technology. And somewhere between these two realities, the average person gets lost. The entire industry thrives in this gray zone, too legitimate to dismiss, too speculative to trust, too volatile to stabilize, too exciting to ignore. Crypto lives in a paradox where it is simultaneously a financial revolution and a psychological trap, a technological breakthrough and a speculative casino, an investment opportunity and a global belief system. And here's the real proof it's a brilliant scam. Even after hearing all this, even after understanding how it works, even after recognizing the manipulation, the identity building, the tribalism, the narratives, the hype cycles, the exit liquidity dynamics, part of you still wonders, what if? What if I can still make money from it? What if I can play the game smarter than others? What if I can time the next cycle? What if this coin really is the exception? That feeling right there, that spark of curiosity, hope, greed, possibility, is the engine that keeps crypto alive. because crypto doesn't need everyone to believe. It just needs enough people to believe more than you. And that's why crypto is a brilliant scam, because even when you understand the mechanics, you still feel the pull, you still feel the temptation, you still feel the illusion. You still feel the story whispering in your mind that maybe you're early, maybe it's me, you're smart enough, maybe you're chosen. A scam that can survive awareness is not a scam. It's an ideology. And crypto became one, not by accident, but by design. If you strip away every chart, every token, every blockchain, every exchange, every influencer, every promise, every prediction, and you look at the core engine of the entire ecosystem, you're left with one thing: belief. Crypto is the monetization of belief. It's the financialization of hope. It is the digital packaging of the universal desire to escape the ordinary. And as long as human beings crave meaning, opportunity, and freedom, crypto will always find new believers. The technology may change. The tokens may change. The narratives may change. But the psychology will stay the same. Crypto is a brilliant scam, not because it fools people, but because it gives them something they desperately want: the dream of a different life. A dream so intoxicating that even when reality exposes the cracks, people choose to look away, rebuild their hope, and re-enter the cycle. Remember this: the best scams never take from you by force. They get you to sacrifice willingly. And that's why crypto will outlive its critics, its crashes, its scandals, and its frauds. Because it doesn't run on code. It runs on human nature, and human nature never changes.